It is really good to be here today. And I just want to start out by saying that I appreciate the theme. You know, a celebration of first is appropriate. And to hear some perspectives about that is absolutely appropriate. But I want to recognize that these kinds of first of all, don't happen without supportive communities. And that the leadership is a shared leadership. The challenge and the opportunity is all of ours. As Melvin said, it certainly says a lot about Minnesota that I would be the first and still the only African American commissioner on a county board. It says a lot about our history, and it says a lot about our receptiveness and our opportunity as we move forward. We all know that our demographics are largely a reason that there are so few, or I should say one, county commissioner in Minnesota who is of African American descent. And we all know that our demographics will play a large part in promoting the advancement of that particular fact, or I should say the enhancement of that particular fact as we look forward to the leadership not just of African Americans, but of people of color growing, in fact, as our numbers increase within this arena. But we also know that there is a disproportionate level of leadership for the communities of color that we have. So we've got that challenge, we have that opportunity to work together, and the ground is ripe. I think that we are going to be able to see that the importance of first is augmented as additional opportunities arrive. And we are able to, because people of color, certainly African American people, but people of color in general are spreading throughout our cities, throughout our suburbs, throughout the entire state of Minnesota. We are going to be able to support and to uplift, to stand behind, and to assist the leadership together that we all have for advancing our communities. So, I want to say thank you that I have been able to represent my community geographically, but also to represent African American people and all of us, as our concerns are so much the same. I do want to recognize that as I get started, and I just want to talk a little bit about what being a first in that vein means to me. It is significant to be a first as additional leadership is lifted up and promoted. It's also significant to be a first in recognizing the huge burden and opportunity again that exists because I feel and you feel a special responsibility that I have as an African American person in this role to uniquely represent some of the concerns and to uniquely focus on, in a genuine way, engaging people who may not traditionally have been involved at this level in government, to uniquely position the opportunity for us to address many challenges. So I just briefly want to say that I appreciate that you have also uplifted that unique representation. Ramsey County is in a specific position as the county with the greatest number of people of color. And as we see that demographic changing, we are positioned for that leadership. People look to us and expect that it would come from us for the entire state. And so there are things that are going on here which require that we challenge ourselves, that we think beyond the boundaries, that we push those parameters, and that we, in fact, show our leadership. I'm particularly proud of the fact that when I came onto this board in Ramsey County 5 years ago, or just a little over 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to work with people on the county board who accepted that we are a community that survived through, or that I should say was enriched through many circumstances, such as the Minnesota Miracle. We know that we have provided creative opportunities for people to come and to live and to grow, to be enriched, to raise their families, and to prosper here in Minnesota, here in Ramsey County. We also know, and even more so now I might add, as we continue to benefit from the data that we're able to mine now in a way such that we have never been able to before, that although we've had that miracle, in a sense, for so many people in our background, we have not had that same level for many people, particularly people of color, specifically African American people in our environment. So I was proud that I was able to come onto a board who had already iterated a position that all within our communities should be able to not only survive, but to thrive, and that would in fact support those continuums of service, those ways in which people have been able to, through the Minnesota Miracle and beyond, prosper in our community. But even more so, that our board would accept a position that as leaders, we would address the changing demographics within our community so that we would ensure that not only would all people, the statement all people would be able to survive and thrive would be supported, but so that we would look to the issue in particular of equity. So our board did adopt a position that the outcomes for all people and populations should be equitable as well. And you will see then that within Ramsey County, we have been looking to how we make that real. I will point to a couple of examples, a few examples, and just share with you that the opportunity for leadership is not just mine. It's all of ours. A supportive community, a supportive board, people on our staffs who help us to make these sorts of opportunities real for people. Our Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative, which many of you are familiar with because I've seen many of your faces in those quarters, has looked very hard at the issue of young people, disproportionately of color, in our juvenile detention centers. And it's been a very, very challenging reform effort. But so many within our corrections department, within our judges, within our justice system overall, have worked together and have realized a reduction of over 60% in the number of young people who are in our juvenile detention centers. Now, if you think about the fact that in 2005, when there were 4,000 plus juveniles detained in our juvenile detention center, 80% of those were juveniles of color, then you'll realize that that 60% reduction over those years has meant that so many young people of color, and specifically also African American young folks, now have the opportunity to be in our community. Perhaps they've committed minor offenses, but to continue to attend school, to be mentored, and to be assisted to uplift their lives so that they are law-abiding and contributing citizens in our community. Again, we're not talking about letting anybody off when they've committed serious offenses, because we are, in fact, reserving our detention center, which is the most expensive way of addressing offense, for those who have committed those offenses for which they should be detained. So that's an area within which we're seeking equity, a responsibility that I have and that I execute together with you as a supportive community. Just recently, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners passed a resolution in partnership with the City of St. Paul, and I can thank that City Council as well as the mayor, to support a blue ribbon commission to look at one particular area of concern. And that area is employment disparities. You may have heard, along with me and all of us recently, that the data composed across the United States shows that our communities here in the metropolitan area, St. Paul and Minneapolis, have a greater disparity in employment between African American men and men of majority populations than almost any other area in the United States, second to Detroit. We're not proud. We're not proud of that fact. But what we are proud of is that this community has said, okay, we can get our hands around even that together. You know, some people may say that it can't be done, but we're in the process of pulling together a blue ribbon panel to address that particular area to within a short period of months, using our business partners as the greater part of that population of blue ribbon panel participants, provide us with recommendations. How can we create a framework here in Ramsey County for providing leadership to this metropolitan area, for providing leadership to this state, for showing that we can use the data, the evidence, and what it tells us to construct the right set of processes for supporting a change in that particular area. This is what I am proud of, because in the October or November timeframe, we will be able to share with you that recommended framework and to know also the steps that we are taking here in a methodic and science-based, evidence-based way to ensure that even that area, a hard nut to crack, is one that we will address together as leaders for our community. So I want to say that the first of it all, which is a great opportunity for which I thank you, is not what's important. It is the what of it all that we will do together as we look at challenges of that sort and opportunities, even during times like this, when we have fewer resources, to focus on those arenas which will move us forward together. As our demographics change, it becomes even more important to us. We acknowledge even more how critical it is to us if we are going to be a prospering region, if we are going to together advance, how critical it is for us to address some of those right things to do anyway, and to put our heads together, our thoughts together, in order to achieve from a first those things which will move us forward together and advance us, those things which a first alone cannot do, but which take an entire community to agree upon and to work together in order to advance. I want, to just share with you that these are trying times. These are difficult times. These are times of struggle, but they're also levers for our progress. They're times during which we're motivated to be brave. We are motivated to stand out, to push forward. We're motivated to find the ways in which we can achieve savings even. And sometimes it's by doing the right thing. It's by making sure that all people have the opportunity to succeed, to survive, to thrive, and to prosper. And that's what we are doing together and will continue to do together. I want to just state that we are a community, not just because we're here in this room together, but we're a family. I used to, when I was an educator, raise eyebrows sometimes when I would address a group by saying Hotep, Hotep, which is an African or Egyptian word, which means at peace. But by saying Hotep, what do you look at? What do you think about when you look around this room and you see all of our diverse faces? What do you think about that draws us together? And I used to say Lucy draws us together. Lucy, who was that first set of bones found on the continent of Africa, which gave us knowledge that we all do come from one place. Well, Lucy's bones aren't the oldest anymore, but I'll still call upon Lucy's names to say that we all here together are family. And that in the spirit of African American History Month, I want to acknowledge that whether your face is brown or whether your face looks of some other hue, we are all family together. So in uplifting African American History Month here, I want to uplift us all by noting that we are tied together. And the African American history that is mine is also yours. And I hope that you will remind others as this month proceeds that we are not only community together, but that we are family. So thank you very much for allowing me to be one of your first and for celebrating so many firsts with me today, but for acknowledging more than anything else, it's about the what they said could not be done that we will all achieve together as family.